Hey guys, this is Chris, half of the Two Break Handle Baddies podcast. This is me just coming in while I was editing. This is just forewarning that this is a long episode. This is almost 2 hours, our longest to date, but it's chock full of a lot of good information. And I didn't want to chop this up too much because I think that everybody can take something from what we discussed. There are timestamps. So if there are certain things you want to skip over, come back to, hear again, skip past, please utilize that. But I just want to give you guys fair warning. T and I have a very long conversation about this, but it's all good information and it's actually worth a listen. All right. Enjoy. Hey guys, it's Chris.
And it's T.
And welcome back to another episode of the Two Break Handle Baddies podcast.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Welcome back. All right. So this week we have a good topic. We are going to be talking about tips on picking.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in the B division, as for Monday, we shall be picking our jobs for next year, early next year, spring, whatever they're calling it for, because it's really not anymore. I mean, they're not really summer or spring picks because you just get 2 seasons. You get one cold
Mm-hmm.
one, one hot one, no matter.
Yep. That's it.
So we'll just say that this is for the beginning part of 2026. All right. So T and I came across this topic to talk about because we've come to understand that with a lot of new people in the job and coming down here, picking is not something that is very straightforward to everybody.
Yeah, not at all. The pick for the A division just ended. I want to, baby, I don't even know what, 2 weeks ago. And I work out of Utica, so every day I would just see people, at the later end of the pick, newer employees down there struggling, struggling,
Mm.
struggling to try and figure out um, how to pick. And the looks on the two people who were handling the pick was hilarious at times. So I just had the bright idea, like, look, I think a lot of people need this tutorial. And yeah, like Chris said, tips on how to pick. And some things that we didn't have when we came up, when we first started, 11 years ago, trying to figure it out and not really having any advice other than, trusting whoever was in charge of the pick. And sometimes they might have led you down the wrong damn direction.
And
Um,
working 6
so
months in a job that you're miserable in is not the way.
yes, it's not it.
Not it.
We don't have a lot of people that come down here who don't have families and children. So, you pick around those things. So that's the whole gist of the podcast today, is trying to help people pick according to their life.
And just pick what's best for you because while yes, you think about picking a certain line, picking a certain tour, that might be what you want or what seems like would work for your lifestyle. But when you actually look at either what a job does, what it does not do, where it starts, where it ends, that can definitely sway you from picking one job over another or one tour over another. And, you know, you have to do what's best for you to get you through your 8 hours down here, right? So
Yeah.
the point of this is the to help you navigate through what's in front of you. Because a work program, which is what we pick our jobs from, is going to throw a lot of numbers, a lot of information at you. And if you don't know what you're looking at, you can make a detrimental decision.
Mhm.
And once you pick it, it's yours.
Yeah.
Unless you bid off of it or whatever, but what you pick is yours at the end of the day. So we
Mhm.
want to make sure that you all are picking stuff that you can live with, and outside of barring anything catastrophic happening, you can come into work your 5 days and live with what you picked. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So first, we're going to start off with the actual work program. So we're going to be talking mainly from a train operator's perspective, although the information we're going to be giving you is also going to be relevant to conductors, a little less so to tower operators. Even though tower operators are part of RTO, we don't pick at the same time. Our tower operators have their own separate pick, and tower operators have what are called package jobs. So
Mm,
their location, start time, and RDOs
mm,
are all packaged together. So they
mm.
pick that in one sitting. It's not where they can pick the location, pick the time, and then pick the RDOs. That
Yeah.
is something um that is something special to conductors and trade operators, right? We have a lot more flexibility in picking those things, and that we pick all those things separately and try to make it into, into one thing that we can all live with, right?
Mhm.
So there
Something
are
that they
some
trying to snatch away from us.
they're trying, but listen, if y'all know like I know, we better fight for that tooth and nail, okay? Don't let them chip no
Mhm.
part of that away. We don't want
Fact.
no part of package deals, okay? We
No.
like piecemealing what we can piecemeal and let that just be that, okay? If it ain't
Yeah.
broke, don't fix it.
Mhm.
Um, so when you look at your work program, if you look at any one particular job and you go from left to right, you're going to be looking at first, you should start with the daily, Saturday or Sunday, right? You're gonna find your line. You're gonna look, and it goes from midnights, which are 100 a.m.s, 200 p.m.s, 300. So you're gonna look at the job number. Your 100, that's a midnight job. A.m. is a 200 job. P.m. is a 300 job. You're
Mhm.
gonna go next. That's gonna show you where the job starts, right? So if you're on any line, you know that there's a north terminal and then there's a south terminal. Not every job starts at a north terminal. Some jobs start at south terminals. Some jobs start out of yards. Some jobs start out of gap stations, right? So you pick up your train someplace other than where you start. But usually your start location is where you sign in. May or may not be where you get your train. So keep that in mind because
Mm.
there are jobs down here. They're few, it's not a lot, but there are jobs where you sign in one place, but you have to travel, depending on the distance, someplace else. For
Yeah.
example, I had a job
So
on the
just be
6th.
mindful.
Just be
Oh,
mind,
sorry.
yes, just be mindful. For example, I had a job on the 6th where I signed in at Parkchester, but I picked my train up at 3rd Avenue. So that's a significant distance from where I signed in because there is no full time dispatcher at 3rd Avenue, but that's where I got my train for my first trip. So you should always pay attention to that.
Yeah,
Some
while
jobs,
reading the work program, it might be helpful for newer train operators and conductors to, ask. I know sometimes going through school car, you hear, don't listen to the crew room lawyers or, how us older train operators and conductors are tainted. We're going to give you some bad advice or whatever. But when it comes down to picking, that is when you should call upon someone who has been down here for a substantial amount of time and ask them to help you. Because when reading that work program and you're new, it can look like you are reading a
jumble.
foreign language. So when
Absolutely.
you're reading it, yes, you are looking at that start time. You're looking at the start location. The work program is the best because it also shows you how many trips you are doing on a certain job. And, sometimes we look at the start time, we look at the finish time, and we say, oh, that works for me. And
That
baby,
middle, baby. That
that
middle
middle
counts.
really counts.
That
So
middle counts.
you
Oh
really want
God.
to be, really, really looking at it and writing things down. Um, and if you have a hard time understanding a work program, sometimes it's good to even just write it down on a sheet of paper, on a little notebook, the job that you're looking at, and then go over to tens and get a schedule card of it. So that way maybe it'll help you to understand what the details of the job is as well.
I'm gonna
So,
put an asterisk with that because work programs come out a pick ahead, and
yeah,
sometimes the jobs do change. So
sometimes they change. Yeah.
they
Yeah, but
do they
for the
change
most part,
subtly. And sometimes
usually
the job might get eliminated. So
mm, that
don't
part too.
what is happening in the current pick may not be reflected in the work program for the new pick or whatever pick you're going
Yeah,
into. So
which
I
is
know
very
right now
true.
in the B division, there are a couple of jobs that people are up in arms about that aren't reflected in this upcoming pick, or they're
Oh,
not
wow.
paying the same as what they're paying what people are working today currently.
Well, they
So
love doing that.
yeah, but that with that for the most part, 90 to 95% of the jobs do remain the same unless
Mhm.
Transit has already announced that there's going to be significant changes to that line. Then of course,
Yeah,
yeah, anything's up for grabs. But if
yeah.
everything is scheduled to be the same, then you should be good.
Yeah, so up to
Um
snuff. So, yeah. So, looking at that work program, you'll see, at the top, it should say, if you're in the A division, it'll say A division. If you're in the B, it'll say B division. Make sure if you're a train operator, you are looking at it should specifically say train operator road, and it should also tell you daily, and that is Monday through Friday. And, Saturday work program will specifically say Saturday for a Saturday job, and Sunday will specifically say for a Sunday job. Sometimes people get confused. They're looking at the wrong page. You may think that a Saturday job is the daily job. A lot of jobs may have the same number, right? So 222 on for the daily is completely different than 222 on a Saturday or 222 on a Sunday. And sometimes people get caught up. They might be looking at the Sunday work program for job
yeah,
222 and they're like, "Oh, this is great. It's a one tripper. How is this still open?" And you put that
that
down as
ain't
the
what it
daily
is.
job and you realize that 222 is starting out of the yard at 3:48 or whatever, 4:05 a.m. Out of New Lots Yard, and you live, you thinking, oh, this job is gonna start out of White Plains, and that can completely ruin your whole, pick. So be sure that you are reading and looking over that work program, um, and seeing, making sure dotting your I's and crossing your T's that while picking a daily job, which again is your Monday through Friday, um, that the work program that you're looking at correlates to that.
Yeah. Full
Um,
disclosure, one time I bid on a one-line job towards the end of this particular pick, and I looked at the Saturday job, or excuse me, the Sunday job, because I would have Friday, Saturday off if I had gotten the bid on that job. And I looked at the Sunday job and it was a put in 2 trips. And I just thought I had won the lottery. And then it paid, it was a penalty job, so I wouldn't have to sign out. I thought I hit a lick. Only to come to find out once I actually got the job, and this was my fault, completely my fault, paid no attention to what the daily job did, which the daily job had luckily similar hours, but it definitely wasn't a put in at 2 trips. It was three miserable trips. And then my Monday, which was Sunday, was my little put in at 2 trips, which was my easiest day. And I kicked myself. I hated myself. I think I had that job maybe 7, 8 weeks for the remainder of that pick. But I learned a very, very good lesson that I needed to look at everything, pay attention to what I was looking at, because I believe my number was like 203 or 204 on the one. And on 203 on Sunday, that's what the job was. But 203 during the week was not that at all. So, yeah,
mm,
that is
mm,
definitely a
mm.
lesson in paying attention to what you pick and what you're looking at. But
Yeah.
then also moving uh,
Mhm.
on top of making sure that you're on the daily, Saturday, or Sunday. And it will depend on whether or not you need to look at Saturday or Sunday jobs if
Mhm.
you have to work those days. If you're able to pick a job straight, which means that you can pick the same job Monday through Friday, then you won't have to look at a Saturday, Sunday job until you have to look at holidays. If you have
Mhm.
to if you have to work holidays, if you cannot pick a holiday off, you have to find out what schedule is running for that holiday. So
Yeah.
some holidays will run a Saturday schedule. And if
Mhm.
they're running a Saturday schedule, you go to the Saturday um
Okay.
work program
Mhm.
for that whatever line, and you have those jobs to pick from. Even if the holiday falls on, say, a Monday, Tuesday, if it falls during the week, if they're running a Saturday schedule, you have to pick a Saturday schedule job. Same
Yeah.
goes for Sunday.
Mm.
Usually the major holidays, New Year's, Christmas, Thanksgiving, um I know it's not that many where they run a Sunday schedule, but those are usually the major holidays.
Yeah.
Those are Sunday schedules.
Yeah,
It
like,
doesn't
for
matter what
those
day it falls on, those are
yeah,
usually always a Sunday
yeah,
schedule.
like, for this pick, um, uh, for Thanksgiving, that's a Sunday schedule. For, Christmas, also a Sunday schedule. For, uh, the New Year's, Sunday schedule, and then we have, like, random, I think what is it, President's Day or something like that?
Yeah,
That's a
Memorial
Saturday
Day, Labor
schedule.
Day,
Yeah.
the day after Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
those
Lincoln's birthday or something, I don't know.
yeah,
The 19th, the
any other
yeah,
holiday that isn't a
mhm,
major holiday
it's a Saturday.
is a
But yeah,
Saturday schedule.
be very mindful of that, when especially if you're new. This episode really is geared towards, newer train operators and conductors, when looking at this work program, also when you're filling out your pick selection sheet. But we'll talk more about that later. But for the most part, uh, you know, these are the things that you need to be mindful of when going into a pick. All the different ways that transit runs their their
Their
job.
service, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So, what do we
after
wanna talk about now? So we've passed the point of, looking at that top upper left corner of the work program to make sure that you're on a appropriate, day, so daily, Saturday or Sunday work program. Once you go down, you'll see the run number. At this point, you should know that the run number is the job number that's associated with what you'll be working. Um, Once you go over, like, Chris said earlier, it should show the time that you report and also the place that you are reporting to, which is very important. This is where you will be signing on to the payroll. Okay. So make sure that you are looking at that, right? And if you go all the way over to the right side of the page, you'll also see where you are finishing, but it'll say relieved, what time you're getting off the train, that you will be done with work, and the place that you will be finishing at, which is the terminal or gap station that you will be done at, where you sign out at.
well,
Okay?
that's not always true because your relief time is when your job stops paying you.
Yes.
If you have jobs that have "wa" at the end, or you may have, say, like a trip and a half,
Mhm.
that time is telling you the time that your job stops paying you, but you
Yeah.
might be deadheading, um, at the end of that time, right? That's something we'll discuss a little later going forward, but your relief time, where it says relieved time and place, is saying where you will be on a payroll somewhere should you need to sign out. Not all jobs require that you sign out, and not all jobs require that
Mhm.
you clear at that place because that might not be where you finish actually working. You may not
Mhm.
actually be on a train that ends at that terminal. You might
Yeah.
be someplace else.
Mhm.
Just want to throw that caveat in there.
Yeah. So that we can go over that too.
Okay.
Yeah, looking at specific jobs that have, not specific jobs, but we don't wanna call out any specific, actual jobs, but we just wanna give you examples of what to look for and how that job may operate. So that is also something that you wanna be mindful of.
Right. And we also in your work program, there's going to be some numbers, right? That you're going to see, especially where the relief time and place are. You're going to see there's a number in parentheses, and then there's a number that is not in parentheses. And
Mhm,
sometimes those numbers don't match, right? There's a reason for that. One of those numbers is the number or the time frame you're going to actually be working. And then the next number is what that job pays you for the time that
mhm,
you work. So some jobs are straight eights, right? 8 hours. Some
mhm,
jobs, you work a little less than 8 hours, but then the next number says 8:30 something or 8:20
mhm.
something or
Yeah.
8:02 or
Mhm,
whatever. That's telling you how much you're paid for the work that you're doing. That number that is not in parentheses will include deadhead time, boost time, radio time, or any other allowable time, anything else that you're paid for that transit will compensate you for
mhm,
that that you're assumed to do during the course of your duties. The number in parentheses is the amount of time you're going to be on a train.
yeah.
That's that's a very significant number.
Mhm,
Because sometimes, especially like in the case of say a trip and a half, you may see that number says like 6 hours or 7 hours and a half and whatever, but the next number will say 8:38 or
mhm.
8:40 something. That's significant. That's
That's the
also the
number that's
difference.
gonna be on your paycheck.
Correct. That is what you are. That is the number. That is what you will be compensated for.
Yes.
That doesn't always mean that's how much you're going to work. You have to
Yeah,
pay
so
attention to that number
that
because
number is crucial, yeah. Like, if you're working a workhorse kinda job or, are you gonna have an easier day, kinda job. So
and not
but for
just
the most
that, but
part, most
that
people look at the pay. You look at the pay because 'cause you're trying to figure out, um, if it's a straight 8, which is gonna show up as 800, then that means you gotta sign out. And if you have a job that is like 803, right? That means you don't have to sign out. So
right.
that's a big difference too. That's something that some people care about. Some people wanna just
I'm
dump
one of
and
them.
go,
I don't pick.
and
I
some
don't like
people
those kinds where
yeah, and
you can't just dump and go home.
exactly, and some people, they don't mind having to sign out or whatever, maybe they like their dispatcher so much that they wanna say, goodbye
Moving
to them
on.
for the
Anyway,
night.
like we ain't gonna talk about that this episode. But
Uh,
also, you also
but
should need you
yeah.
need to be where you need to be cognizant of.
Mhm,
This is specifically for people who have like one trip jobs, trips and a halves, two and a half trip, anything that where you finish other than when you start specifically,
mhm,
because your overtime becomes a little tricky also in
yeah,
in that circumstance.
yes,
If you have a job that starts in at the north terminal but you clear in the south terminal, if something should happen where you get to that north terminal late, out of place, something happens, your overtime is calculated differently than
mhm,
somebody who starts and finishes at the same place.
mhm,
When you start and finish at the same place with no why at the end of your job, right? The time past whatever your clearing time is, fully entitled to time and a half, right? So if you have a 4 to 12 job and you get into your finishing location at 12:30, you are entitled to that 12:30, right? You're entitled to that 30 minutes of overtime because you were supposed to finish at 12 and you're arriving at 12:30. It's a little bit more complicated when you have a job where you don't finish someplace else and you arrive late because the job pays you time to get back to where you started. This is within our contract. Uh we are allowed to be paid to return back to where we started,
Yeah.
right? Now, if you have a job with built-in deadhead time, which is the time it takes you to get back to wherever you signed in at that to start that job, that time might be cut short because you arrived at your whatever terminal late. Your overtime is actually calculated after that time. It doesn't make sense. It's something that I have fought about from the time that I started when first started having jobs that did things like that. It didn't make any sense to me. If I'm supposed to get at a terminal at 12 o'clock, but they paid me an hour to get back to the North Terminal, if I got to that terminal at 12:30, why do I have to start my overtime at the hour after I clear? Like that doesn't make any sense. I said, well, if I'm supposed to get here at 12 o'clock, but I got here at 12:30. Why doesn't it start from 12 to 12:30? And they say, oh, well, because you're still technically on the clock, which I am,
Mhm.
because my job pays me to go back to the original terminal, even though I don't have to sign out. But I'm still technically on the clock.
Which
So,
could, work for some people, like,
right.
let's just say, I'm someone that loves to start I'm in the A division, so I start out of a South terminal. So, if I was to pick a job that started out of Flatbush and, let's just say, what would that be? A trip and a half, right? So,
Yeah.
I would finish up at White Plains, and, the road is blown up, it's, just a trash day, whatever, and I get up there later than I'm supposed to get up to White Plains on paper. Some people, when they have that deadhead and the job also pays over 8 hours, you could just deadhead and go home. You don't have to sign out at the Flatbush terminal. Um, but if you want that overtime, right, you can definitely ride your tail back to Flatbush, fill out an exemption form, and put in your late clear because whatever time they are paying you to get back to Flatbush, once you sign, you put in your late clear form, uh, you have to sign out on the payroll and you put it in, and you will be back at Flatbush past the time that you were supposed to be there officially on paper. So
Right.
that's a way that you can still get your overtime. But for somebody who might live uptown at White Plains, right? Like they might not mind traveling down to Flatbush in the morning, but they like to get off at a certain time at White Plains, and if they have they're late getting back to that terminal, 9 times out of 10, they're not gonna ride back to Flatbush to put in a late clear, when in all actuality, getting off and having a trip and a half and getting off at White Plains works in their benefit. The only thing is you won't be able to claim that overtime, like Chris
Right.
was
And that's something that
that's
you
something
should
that
always
also
be
plays
cognizant
into.
of, especially working lines
Mhm,
where it's often you're not getting off on time,
yeah.
because that's what we would call leaving money on the table,
Yeah,
right?
and this is something good for people who don't have that much time, but they can get RDO jobs. So we'll talk about that more. But with an RDO job, you're looking at jobs that other people have picked, and sometimes they might have picked, a trip and a half job, and you see it, and you on paper, you're like, a trip and a half, that's way better than 2 trips. I'd rather do a trip and a half. But it may not always work with you. It may not be suiting to your lifestyle, and
It might
you
be more trouble than it's worth.
exactly. So sometimes what looks good on paper may not be good operating. So,
Right.
sometimes it is, like I said, it's great to ask people who have been here for a while. They will tell you the ins and out. And sometimes what they might say is a trash job may be elite for you, because it doesn't work for them and what they have going on with their life, but it might just be exactly what you need because it works for you and your family.
Absolutely, and we will
So,
definitely be covering that in
yeah.
more depth a little later.
So do you
But we
think
just
that
wanted there's
people
one thing
are
that I wanted to touch
Mhm.
on that is all the way at the end on the right, which is the notes column of
Yeah.
the work program.
Mhm.
And some people may see some abbreviations
Mm.
in that column. Please pay very special attention to those notes. Some of those notes significantly change the work of that job depending on the circumstances.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Oh, yes. And those notes. Yeah.
this is more so for AM jobs, but you can see them on PMs and you can see them on midnights, but not as much as you would say AMs. There
Mhm.
is a glossary on the front of the work program which tells you the full
Exactly.
title of what the abbreviation is,
Mhm.
for train operators and conductors. There are different jobs outside of just revenue work, that can be you can pick. And even within revenue work, your job may have additional obligations, may have additional um uh things for you to do. So there may be car washes, there may be early reports for uh different reasons. It may be specific to certain like more so in subsea about what specific equipment you will need to be able to move. And as far as conductors, there is certain jobs require different skill sets. So there may
Yeah.
be hand switching jobs, there
Mm.
may be platform jobs, and even with that, there's still distinctions within that.
Yeah,
So
so if you see on the work program all the way to the far right and it says notes, it might have something that says in the A division, you might see something that says ER, right? If you go down to that
in
bottom,
the B division, we have ERs in B division too.
yeah. If you go down to the bottom of that page, right? That specific page, it will tell you exactly what um that abbreviation is. So if it says ER, it'll tell you that job may be an early report for such and such, whatever, cold weather report, cold weather or geo or something like that. This job may have an early report. If it says LU, that means that this job may or may not have a layup or does have a layup unless whatever. Um, for like the 7 line, um, they have CB7 at the end of a note, right? And all that means is that you have to be CBTC trained and qualified. So that goes into, also, well, for the most part, newer people come in and they are already CBTC trained prior, uh, while in school car. For us, it was a little bit different. We didn't have CBTC when we first started. So, let's just say if I wanted to pick on a 7 line and I wasn't CBTC qualified, that plays a role into the pick as well, because then you might just be extra until you could get into a class that, a school car that will qualify you. So, you might not even be able to start that job because you are not qualified for that job at that time, but you could still pick it, but you will be extra and they will throw you around and, you are at the mercy of the crew office. So certain things like that play into your pick as well. Um, so
And they
yeah.
also have some jobs that I'm noticing, this is more so for the B division,
Mhm.
where the your WOB might actually be yard work.
Mm.
So you may have to switch, um you might have to do some cuts and adds. They're basically letting you know that you're going to be doing both yard work and road work. So, those abbreviations significantly uh affect the job. But, as far as that is concerned, that takes homework. You have to look,
Yeah.
And you have to be able to spend the time, invest the time, and read what a job is doing. You can always look and find out who's working the job now and see what they're doing. Because I can tell you that a lot of people watch other people and think that a certain job may or may not do enough work. And then they work that job and they realize how much work they're actually doing or not doing. And it's not always what they want to do, right? But
Exactly.
it just takes homework.
Yeah,
Now,
and
when you're gonna pick, you have to the pick locations in the A are Utica Avenue, Main Street,
girl, you supposed to do the
241st.
B division, and I do the A division. How you over here doing my part?
White Plains 241st, and
And not you
Pelham,
ignoring me. I'm done.
absolutely. And
I
then the
am
B
done.
division is
B division is
207 Terminal, Stillwell Ave, 179 and Parsons. I do believe that you can pick directly at 130 Livingston, but it's not being listed. And I've done that. I've gone to 130 Livingston when I was out on comp to
I
go
do
pick.
not recommend.
So,
Don't recommend. If it's if
yeah,
130 is
it's
closed, good riddance, okay? 'Cause
yeah.
I don't
So
recommend. I don't recommend.
I don't see it on either the A or the B division. S mentioned for picking. So I
Yeah,
don't know if they're still allowing us to walk into 130 Livingston to pick. I know that's where the pick section is located, so it would make sense that you just go straight there. But
baby,
maybe
don't
they don't want to see our faces anymore. So
baby, don't do it. Don't do it.
yeah.
Let that be your last ditch effort.
I didn't have
Don't
that bad a time,
do it.
but
I had
they're
somebody
not gonna
hang
help
up
you.
on me. I had somebody bang the phone on me
Ugh.
mid-pick. Okay, baby, so I ain't with it. But, yeah, so moving on, right? I think
Mhm.
we yeah, oh, I also wanted to mention, really, really quick, something that most of us probably jump over during the work program, but there's, on the work program, there's also a part where they may have, general comments on the work program. That
Yes.
might if you knew, go ahead and read that. Don't skip over that.
Yeah.
It kinda briefly gives you a description of what that line, um, entails, right? So, like, for, Grand Central Shuttle, there's a general notes, and it kinda condenses what what certain things, entail about, doing the shuttle at Grand Central. So that was all I wanted to say. So what are we gonna be the second topic is going to be, what
Well,
exactly?
our pick locations and what to expect when you get to the pick locations. And
Mhm,
if you cannot get to a pick location, if you
mhm,
happen to be operating at the time that you're gonna, and a lot of you are, you're
yeah,
gonna be, you're gonna have a pick time where you're not gonna be able to physically stand at a pick location. You're probably gonna be operating, you may be off, you may be on vacation, you're not able to get on transit property. And there are multiple ways that you can put in your pick. So you can leave a preference sheet, which is present at all pick locations. You just ask one of the pick people to for one. You can
and
email
those
your
are
picks.
usually, located in a dispatcher's office. So, if you need that, they usually have them, at a dispatcher.
Well, I know like 179 Parsons, Main Street, the pick location is not with the dispatchers. So
Oh,
you
you
may
know what?
actually, if you walk to the pick location, they should have the pick preference sheets.
I
The
am
people that
definitely
deal with the
thinking of
pick
the A
are
division. Yeah.
huh?
No, I'm definitely, thinking about the A division, cause like, at the at
Main Street and
241st.
White Plains, you're
Yeah.
not in the dispatcher's office when you pick.
Well, I mean, there is a dispatcher upstairs.
Yeah, actually the people that work the pick from transit side are actually dispatchers.
They,
So
but their office is over, but usually I was just gonna say at a terminal, but yeah,
I know
scratch
Utica,
that.
you're right next to
Yeah.
the dispatcher.
Yes.
And
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
pick location is right next to the dispatcher.
Yeah.
As well as well
What,
not even
Pelham?
Pelham, because Pelham is past the dispatcher's office too.
I haven't been up by Pelham in so long, but yeah, most of the time you can just if you new and you need help, ask
Just ask for the pick
someone
location,
and
yeah.
somebody will point you in the right direction.
Right. So back to you leave your preference sheet at the pick location. You can email them to the pick section,
Mhm.
which the email is what they need
Can
in the
we
email
look,
is
look, look,
actually on the
somebody
memorandum that comes
okay.
out with the pick announcement.
Like, I was like, "Can we say it?" Like, "Hold on."
And then you can also call in your pick. The phone numbers, once again, are on the memorandum,
Yes.
talking about when the pick is announced.
Yeah.
And you will call in at the time your call sheets tell you to call. Okay.
Maybe
Don't
5
call
minutes.
in. Huh?
You could call maybe 5-10 minutes before your pick time, because sometimes
Usually
they
they
can
can't
finish
put you in
and
that they can't because what they have to do is they want to put you in the system at your pick time. So if your pick time is 9:55 and the person before you is picking at 9:50, you calling at 9:50 is not going to do you any justice. They're going to tell you got to
baby.
wait because the person who is supposed to be in at 9:55 is entitled to that time. The
They
reason
are,
we get
but
particular times is because should what you want not be available at the time you have to pick, and it may not be your job, but it might be the RDOs you want, it might be your
mhm,
holiday selections are no longer available. They want to give you time to
yeah,
either find something else, come to another cuz that the the difference in having a Sunday Saturday to a Sunday Monday or a Friday Saturday might throw off your entire what you wanted to
your
pick.
entire
You
pick,
may
yes.
have to pick
Mhm,
entirely new jobs. You might have to think about holidays you wasn't thinking about. You might
mhm,
even change your tour.
yeah.
So they want to make sure that
But
you
I
have
say
the time to change whatever you need to change
yeah.
if that's not available at the time that you pick. And it might be the person right in front of you who throws everything off for
Oh,
you.
baby,
That
we know
happens.
that, yeah, but I was
So
gonna just say for the most part, the pick honestly, I do have to give, kudos to the people at work to pick. For the most part, they are very knowledgeable, and it kinda goes really, really fast. If you are doing your homework, you come in and you're prepared, you picking might take all of 2 minutes, maybe 3. Um,
now this
and
is when you have some time and you have options available to you.
yeah.
Now, if you don't have options available to you, especially when we start talking about RDO relief
But
jobs,
I wanna say, could try
you're
and
gonna
get your
have
phone
you're
call
gonna
in
need
because
more
they don't wanna
time.
miss that time slot, you know what I mean? So I'd rather say call earlier than late. If anything, they could put you on hold or at least they know that you called and, I say earlier the better. Not now, don't take my words as you supposed to pick at 9 and you calling in at, 8:30. Like, don't do that. Like, don't do that. I'm saying maybe call in. You might be able to push it calling in 10 to 5 to 10 minutes earlier than your time because they might just be up to you and they'll let you know we're not up to your number yet. We still got two people ahead of you. Okay, cool, you call back, in what time frame to call. So, but like Chris said, everything can change with the person who picks directly ahead of you. There may be only one Sunday, Saturday left. There may be only one Friday, Saturday left, you know, and they take it and now your whole pick is thrown. And that we could talk about more with filling out your preference sheet and why they have like I don't even know, almost like what, 20
20
20
slides.
slots for you to
But you
put
know what?
in.
Let's talk about that now. So
Okay,
the next
yeah.
part is let's talk about what when you go to pick what is important to you as a
Mhm,
as a worker. What is
mhm,
it that is important to you for you to be able to do your job to the best of your ability and not sacrifice your mental health, your physical health, and your financial health, right?
mhm.
And your job is directly affects all parts of that.
Yeah, it
So
affects your spouse, it affects,
your
your
children,
children, it
your
affects
social life,
daycare, you know,
if
things
you're in
that are
school,
super, super yeah, if you're in school. So these things are really, really important. And then we have people who also, that go to church, attend church,
yes.
so these things
Your
really
religious
play into
observances
it,
and yes.
especially for, this is the two baddies, two break handle baddies podcast. So I want to really emphasize this for the moms out there, new moms. I was, for me especially, I came onto the job and got pregnant while I was in school car. Do not recommend. Super ghetto. Um,
Listen,
but
but I see some of y'all are doing it out here. I've
listen,
come across so many women down here. Y'all have my whole
listen,
the greatest of respect because
we
I
will
couldn't.
do it. But do I recommend? Like I said, super, super ghetto. And when you are pregnant, you look, baby girl right now is about to be 10. And I'm so damn happy. Y'all don't even know.
She's amazing. That's
If
my
I had
angel phase.
two good knees, I would do a backflip.
Lord,
Just because her getting older and her moving into a different area of schooling, it opens me up to pick so much differently than I like right now I'm pigeonholed into picking for her schedule exclusively, right? Like I'm working a straight 8 job. I could have a job that pays damn near 10 hours if I wanted to. But because I have to think about her schedule and after school and daycare and babysitters, I have to now pick around her,
and
right?
some
So
people pick around travel because a lot of people
yes,
don't live in the 5 boroughs. So
yes.
the traveling time that it's going to take you to get to work and from work,
Mhm.
especially if you live out of state, you live in Jersey, you live in Pennsylvania, you live in Connecticut, you
Yeah.
have to worry about, the time your job starts and how can you get to work?
Yes, you're
How
thinking about
how long is
traffic.
it going to take you to get to work? In the
The
event of an emergency, how long is it going to take you to get
oof,
home, to get
baby,
to anybody? Those are things you
baby.
have to think about. So
Yeah,
when thinking about when you go to pick, you have to think about you have to put things in um a ranking. What's
yeah.
most important? Your RDO, your line, your tour, the
Mhm,
money that the job pays, and
mm,
the location of the line that you pick, right?
mhm.
All of these things are personal to you. Everybody has a different circumstance, a different situation, and therefore they're going to pick according to you, according to what their circumstance
Yes,
dictates.
yes.
So, somebody like me, I don't have children to worry about. I don't really have a spouse to worry about, but I live uptown. I live in the Bronx. I don't want to pick a job where I have to start out of Brooklyn every single day. I'm not
Mm,
doing that. I'm not starting out a job that starts in Queens every single day. Not doing it. Will I pick certain lines that start in the Bronx and not pick certain lines that start in the Bronx? Absolutely. I will pick and choose. I will even go to Upper Manhattan and pick lines out of there before I pick certain lines in the Bronx.
mhm.
That's my value system. Some people might think, well, I'm going to stay at the line closest to my house. And the line closest to my house, walking distance, is the 6 line. Do with
Yeah.
that information what you want. I'm going all the
Ooh,
way across. Going to the west
another
side.
thing. Look, another thing that might come into play,
Yes, the
certain
equipment.
equipment that runs on a certain line. Baby, you're not catching me on no SME.
I
I'm
mean, I
tall.
love SME, and you're not catching me on new tech. I don't
Yep,
want no tech.
you
Give
see
me
that?
SME all day.
And these are the reasons why you have to really, really do your homework. And when I say do your homework, I'm not talking about your name is on the second to last sheet of the call sheet and
We've all been there.
first,
We've all been there.
yeah,
We just turned the call sheets
yeah,
over and started from the back. Mhm.
yeah. But by the first week, you up there looking at the pick board with somebody whose seniority number is 25.
3,000 people in front of you. Mhm.
Like your number is,
Girl, did you notice?
4,698, and you up there blocking the people who
Listen,
25, okay?
just an
Like
aside. The
homework is
call
not that.
the file numbers are in the
Yeah,
5,000s, girl. They're
yeah.
in the
Listen, I
5,000s.
don't I don't know nothing about that life. I'm
I
sorry,
saw
but
the call sheets. I was like, "Hey, that has to be a typo." Once it
Yeah, no,
started going past 4,000, I said, "Wait a minute. When we
baby.
started 31, we were 31 something. How are we
Yeah.
at 5,000?" No, I don't like that. I don't like that
And
number. That number's scary as hell.
look,
Mm-mm.
and that's for another conversation on another episode. Cause baby, the way that they be talking about the availability, how
Girl,
how high ain't nobody available? It's some 5,000 something,
1,000,
4,000 something. But yeah, anyways,
5,000.
um, what see,
So with that, when we're
yeah,
mentioning the file
we're
numbers, with
hollering.
us mentioning that, we're
Oh,
saying
homework. Wait,
that,
hold on. I'm sorry. I
girl,
don't I thought. When I say do your homework, does not mean be up on that pick board looking at jobs that will not exist for you when it's time for you to pick. When I say do your homework, I want you to write down your kid's schedule. I want you to go, if you have school age kids, go on the Department of Education's website, look at their calendar, find out what days they are off, um, find out what holidays they have and stuff like that. Do your due diligence. If you are someone who commutes and uses mass transportation, transit, um, find out what is the cutoff hour for Metro North, or the cutoff for PATH or New Jersey Transit, or what trains don't run to a certain location at a certain time, or what time the trains start going local, right? So all of this stuff plays into it. So I say this to say, do your homework. Think about what time does grandma need to be at dialysis. Are you the one that take her to dialysis? Maybe you may need Thursdays off, baby. Like, who all of these things factor in. So homework means sitting down with your family, looking at your schedule, and figuring out what days you can what days and what hours work best for you. Not looking up at that pick board, looking at, fantasizing about a 10-hour job that you'll never get at this point in your career. So
and
that's
at
what I
that
mean by
point, I
homework.
want to talk about. I just want to briefly say that if you we're picking in the B division August 4th, right? That's for people with the best of seniority, right? That's their day to pick. If you go to your call sheets and you're picking September 13th, don't look at the pick board for all of August because you're just going to hurt your feelings. You're
Hmm.
going to see a whole lot of jobs that if you could pick them, you would. But the people with the seniority in front of you are going to take those jobs. So it's not realistic for you to do all that homework for jobs that you realistically can't pick. The best time for you to do said homework that T is explaining to you is either the week you're supposed to pick. If you pick like a Monday or Tuesday, go that weekend, look at what's available. I really don't tell people to look at the pick board more than 48 hours before your scheduled pick time. Because a lot of things can change, especially as jobs and RDOs start to go and people have to start picking a little differently than what they planned. There are wild cards all over the place. And so when you go to pick, if you're going to pick, I would say 24 hours is ideal. Usually the picking starts from about 7 o'clock in the morning. I think the last person picks is maybe 4 o'clock. If you go to a pick board at 5 o'clock that day, you see what is available for everybody the following day. That and now if you pick in the afternoon, the same thing kind of applies. But you kind of know the people in front of you because assuming the people right ahead of you are your classmates, you can talk to each other. You can say, listen, what are you looking at? Where are you trying to pick? And you'll
That's
have an,
if
an
your
instant.
classmates are nice people, okay? That's if they're nice. 'Cause sometimes I ain't even gonna hold you. Let's get to the nitty-gritty. Sometimes when you ask somebody about something, you might be putting them on to something that they never even thought of, and if they seniority number is like one ahead of you, two ahead of you, three ahead of you, don't be surprised if they pick you out of the
Yeah.
job that you
And
wanted.
don't
So,
take it personally either. That's just the nature of the job. Like if
damn,
it's
nah,
about seniority, listen,
damn, nah.
that's the reason I'm in the B division because a certain A division trade operator won't stop picking my damn schedule on the midnights. And she know who she is, but I love her to death. But
Ooh,
she keep picking my schedule because she was like, I like your schedule. I really like it. And she has higher seniority than me. So she picks it. It works for her.
yeah.
I'm I'm
Just like for me, there's somebody in our class, right, in our induction that also has a school-age child and they are, a mommy that's out here doing it on their own. And you know what? Sometimes I'll be looking at a job and we both
I
live
ain't
in the
saying a
same
word.
area, right? So we both live in the same area. We both have the same struggle, right? And if I see a job and that thing poof disappear within the next 10 minutes, like
You already
I'll
know who got
click
it.
and
Know who
within
got
10
it.
minutes, it's gone. I know who got it, and I can't even be
Yeah.
mad. Congratulations to you, sweetheart. My hat goes off to you, and I'm celebrating that you got it. At least one of us got it, god damn it. But,
Mm.
but it
But
works
yeah,
that way, But I ain't even gonna hold you. I don't think I'll ever have a conversation with this one person about jobs and RDOs or what I'm looking at because look, I'm sorry, it's a dog eat dog kind of world out here. There might be
Lord, here
something
she
that
go.
you might put somebody else onto that they might not have ever thought about, and it works perfectly for their schedule,
Mhm.
right? So, or
But
look, or they picked the job that you was talking about, and you was like, oh da 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 da, and they get the job and they
and it
hate it.
ain't what it's supposed
They
to
hate it
be.
because it don't work for them, and it really don't work for their lifestyle. And then guess
Mhm.
what? They go and bid off, and you looking like, so the job I wanted, I can't get because you picked
Well,
it,
you
and
could
now
bid
you
on
done
it if
bid off.
that's the case, but
But sometimes you might not even be paying attention to it, right? You might just
Mhm.
be in your other job. You like, I ain't looking at no bid sheets. I'm just gonna keep my head down. I got this job. I'm gonna work it out. And then you realize you see them on the 7 line one day. You like, wait, hold on a second. Wait, you working on the seven?
Mhm.
I thought you picked it for. Like it's crazy. So
It is.
I don't know. I'm rambling at this point,
That's
but
why I said I always tell people, especially new people, it's always best to look at the board 24 hours before
mhm.
because I was one of them people that was looking at jobs like the week
We all
before and
was.
getting my heart broken and taking it completely personal that that job was not there anymore because I'm just like, I know y'all knew that I was looking at that job. Why the hell would you pick that job? You don't want that job. I wanted that job. But,
We have
you know,
all been there.
that's what was available to them and when it's your pick time, what is available to you, you have every right to pick what you want if it's available to you. So I say that to say, don't stress yourself out. Work with what you know work with what's in front of you. So if you go at 5 o'clock at the end of a pick day, you know that everything that's on that board is accurate as to the last person that picked. So you should know what RDOs are left, what tours are left, what and then you can look at your lines and you can look at the jobs. Now, certain lines are going to be the first things to go because of the
Mhm.
equipment, because of the seniority, because of
Yeah,
the
and
location.
districts as
So,
well. Yeah.
right. RDOs are done by district. So if you pick West Side, you got to worry about your West Side RDOs. If you're East Side, you got to worry about your East Side RDOs. And make sure you double check, especially in the B division, your Queens, North and South. Make sure the line that you want to pick on falls within those districts because it's notoriously no. You can get pretty much anything that you want in the South because that's the NQRW, B, D, and all those lines, and nobody wants to do that. But if you want to get on a 211 and you want to be on an Apple or a Charlie, that's something different. That's the North. So
Mhm.
you got to look at those lines, and those RDOs might go quicker because people want to be on that equipment. They like those lines. Those RDOs might go faster. Like if you want weekends off, you might not have a very good chance in the north, but you might have a great chance in the south. When I was in the A division, I couldn't get Sunday, Saturday on AMs in the west side for nothing. I was always like either the person right ahead of me would take it or what that picked in the west side that I would be the last person or even if I could pick the weekends none of the jobs that I wanted on the west side lines were open for me to pick. So I would always have to get a
Mhm.
piece of the weekend if I went to the west side, but I could get the full weekend if I went to the east side. So I
Mhm.
stayed the majority of my career on the east side because I wasn't dealing with that. And also the
Yeah.
east side, the lines that were in the east side worked for my location, worked for me getting where I needed to be.
Yeah, and
So
this is the homework too. This is
yes.
the homework too. Looking in different districts to see also how many RDOs are left in on a specific, district. So like she said, it may be District 1, they might be, a couple of slots left for the RDO that you want. Or even asking, the pick selection, like, are there, how many people, how many slots are available for, let's just say, Labor Day, to have Labor Day off.
Right.
It might work in your favor in District 1, but it might not work in your favor in District 2. Sometimes it depends on what matters to you most. What's more valuable for you. Maybe Labor Day is something that you desperately always need off because maybe your whole family comes in to town and you're not willing to take a risk or a gamble of whether or not you might be able to get that day off if the crew office may give that to you. So you might just say, you know what, F it. I'm gonna go pick in District 2, even though this might not work for me the best, but I know that I need this specific holiday off because it means a lot to my whole family. So
That's
little
how I
things
was
like
about
that.
Christmas. I was
Yeah.
definitely
See?
about that with Christmas.
And
I
I don't
always
give a
track
damn about Christmas. I could work
and
Christmas every goddamn year. Now, what I worry about is Thanksgiving for me. I needs a Thanksgiving off. I'm a fatty. I'm a foodie. I want that. I needs that.
but see,
Christmas,
for me with Christmas, if I couldn't
yeah,
there was years, like the first 3, 4 years, we couldn't pick Christmas off. Don't
no,
don't
no.
even don't even look to get Christmas off.
And you was up
But
all
I
night
would
waiting
look
on the
at
IVR.
right, but
Rest in peace.
I would
Rest
look
in
and
peace,
see
my
what
boy
day
IVR.
wait. I would look and see what day Christmas was. So if like Christmas was on like a Thursday or Christmas
Mhm.
was on a Wednesday, I would pick
Very
my
smart.
RDOs so that
Mhm.
I would have that day off as an RDO, and I wouldn't have
Very
to worry
smart.
about picking it off altogether as a holiday. I
Yes,
just
and
wanted to put
that
that
is
in there.
very smart. That is also very smart because depending on what day Christmas might fall on, we always know that Thanksgiving is falling on a Thursday. So,
Right.
during your winter pick or whatever, yeah, right? It's your fall pick.
Whatever
Um,
they feel like calling it.
yeah.
Because 'Cause
So
I'm
I guess
picking
like during
Thanksgiving
your
twice
fall
this year.
pick.
It makes no sense.
We definitely did. And I want to just mention that, all right?
I'm picking it twice. I'm like, I already picked Thanksgiving, my job for Thanksgiving, but I'm picking it again
Because
apparently.
my
Whatever.
Thanksgiving pick was way better back in my spring pick,
Mm,
and a certain person, I won't name no name,
Lord.
but they picked the job that I had wanted for Thanksgiving when we
Mm,
re-picked for the same freaking holiday for the fall pick, which baby, I wanted to fight. I want to fight. I still want to fight. But
Lord.
it's all right. Life goes on. But these are things that come into play. So like when you look at a pick preference sheet, it will say, daily job, Sunday, Saturday. It will ask you what RDOs you're looking for, and then it'll also ask you for the holiday jobs, your holiday picks. Now, if you're somebody that, you don't care about you don't really care about the holidays, you want to get some money, but for the most part, sometimes nobody is really calling out on well, you know what? Sometimes it could work in your favor. You could pick extra, right? You can pick extra for
I
your
always did.
holiday,
For the
right?
last 6 years, I
Yeah.
always picked extra.
It's a gamble. Some people say you will sit all day and it's kind of like you just sit on board because most of the time people are not calling out on a holiday because they want that holiday pay.
And there's
So
less jobs on holidays because especially if it's
exactly.
a Sunday schedule, it's only 60% of the workforce at work. So,
So that might play into your hand, to your benefit. Um, I say that to say when looking at the preference sheet, always look at the holidays. A lot of the time people will pick their whole entire job and they will forget completely about the holidays.
mhm.
And so you need to also make sure that you're putting a bunch of picks. What really kind of made me feel like I wanted to do this topic was watching somebody struggle at Utica, and they kept telling this person like, "Look, baby, you done put only 2 options up
Mm,
here, and you don't pick, like, you sitting here and it's 7:30, but, you don't pick until your pick time ain't till 12:35, boo."
mm.
Like, I
Stuff's
if
gonna
I were
go.
you, I would put more down,
Right.
and then they looked at the holiday selection, and they said, "Baby, you didn't even put nothing for your holidays," and they were like, "Holidays?" So, yeah, look at that whole entire sheet, right, as your homework as well. Get you a pick selection, um, sheet, preference sheet or whatever, and look at all the different options that they have, like, all the different slots that they have available for you to look at, and be mindful. Somebody like me, right? You might want to work the holiday, especially for me, Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is my jam, right? So I want to work the holiday and get that money, but I also want to eat. And my people's is black. I know we not eating early. So I might just pick a really early job out of the yard, work that and get off at like,
And all food
two
done, and you don't
o'clock
even gotta help cook.
yeah, you get off around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That give me enough time to go home, shower, put on my cute little living room outfit, and get ready for Thanksgiving. I haven't missed out on anything. And I got
Yeah.
I got paid, either I got my holiday pay or I banked that day. So it works out for you. So you always have to
It's
think
something
about
you
that.
can live with. That's the main thing.
Exactly.
Let it be something you
Yeah.
can live with.
And then also remember this, if you are AMs and that is what your tour is on paper, you are stuck to AMs for the holidays, right?
Yes.
I can't pick a PM job for Christmas, even though that would work great for me to have a PM job for Christmas because what do they? It's the flip. For Thanksgiving, I want to get off early so I can have my night with my family and eat dinner. But for Christmas, it's the reverse. You want to be home in the morning time, right? To watch the kids open up their gifts, to have a little bit, a family time and enjoy that. And then you can go into work later on. So if that also plays a part. If you are big on Christmas, maybe you might just sacrifice the whole tour and work a PM tour, right? For the whole time because you want to make sure that okay, I can get the money and I can still enjoy my Christmas. I'll work a PM. Maybe I could pick a job on a PM tour on a Christmas day that start, a little bit later, maybe a 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. You still got to see the kids. You still were able to, see your family, and you just go to work, you know, for the most
Yeah.
part, for the rest of the day. So all of these things play a part. And that's why I say get you a little notebook. Write down what matters to you the most, but also
Or
make sure
even
that
you
you're
can
putting those
even start filling
preferences.
out a preference sheet just
Yes.
yourself. Go
Mhm.
to the pick board, look at
Mhm.
figure out certain jobs, right? That are available whatever day. And
Yeah.
then as things disappear,
Mhm.
cross them off and adjust.
Yeah.
If
And
especially if you know like you're towards the tail end of the pick and things are definitely getting more slim, you're going to have to move a lot of moving pieces around.
yes. Yeah.
And because of that, you're gonna have to start making this list that we told you what's important to you. You're gonna have to start holding to that. You're gonna have to start moving certain things up and down the priority list
Yes.
and finding things that work out for you. But it's
100%.
not always, it's not, there's different things also that even factor into that. So you don't have to pick a straight job. You don't have
No.
to.
Yes,
I went
RDO
the
relief.
majority of my I went the majority of my career down here not picking a straight job until
Mhm.
probably the last 3 years when I needed to go to school, right?
Yeah.
But before that, I was VR, vacation
Mm.
relief. So there are different things when you're
Mhm.
looking at the pick board that you're going to see. You're going to see red line. You're going to see extra list. You're going to
Extra,
see
extra. Well, no,
opto.
extra ain't on the thing. That
No,
choose you. You don't choose that.
right. So you have
Yeah.
opto OPTO, right?
Mhm.
I just mentioned VR and opto VR.
Yes.
You
I made
have
the most
work
money in my
trains.
career Opto VR.
So you have work trains, which is technically sub C, but
Mhm.
there's work trains in the A and there's work trains in the B.
Mhm.
Then for the people who have not very much seniority, we're going to talk about RDO relief. And then finally, we're going to touch on the bid sheets but
Mhm.
that is something that's done post pick, right? So we're not going to spend too much time on that, but we're going to we're going to start with the red line jobs.
Mhm.
So the red line jobs are something that when we first started 11 years ago was specifically to people who were
Union.
on union release.
Mhm.
So if that person was actively at the time of the pick released by the union, they were still able to pick a job, but they didn't intend to work said job, right?
Mhm.
Because if you're released by the union, you're still a TA employee and you still have every everything that's afforded to us as, on TA payroll is afforded to them. So if they're your VP, if they're your vice chair, recording secretary, if they are released by the union to do union work, they're still able to pick, but they're not going to work that job. And that job became redlined. So somebody behind that person with a lower seniority, that's key. You have to have a lower seniority than the person that actually picked that job. You can pick it and you can work that job as long as they're released. Now, it's also under the understanding that should that person choose to come back to the road, unfortunately, now this is when we first started. This has since changed. This actually changed, I believe, what, in the last election, the last contract?
Mhm.
Um, it used to be that you were extra extra and you were subject to the crew office and everything that extra extra entails, which means you can change they change your RDOs, they can change your tour. And you don't have a line. You don't even have a district. You're wherever they need you. As of the last contract, they've since expanded Redline and changed Redline. So they expanded it in that a person at the time of their pick, if they've been off transit payroll for more than 30 days, 30 calendar days, not working days, 30 calendar days, they their job goes on Redline, right? So that person's job, they can pick. They've been out less than 30 days. They can pick, but the job is redlined because
Mhm.
they're not working it. They're out. What used to happen was if you were out, you would still get to pick on your regular time, but then your job would go on the bid sheets as temporary vacancy. They've decided as part of the employee availability, if you're out less than 30 days at the time of your pick, you can
Hmm.
pick, but that job is redlined. Now,
Yeah.
what they did to people who are out more than 30 days, I don't agree with, but
Mhm.
you don't get to pick. I Please take that up with the union. It is what it is. But so now red line job is a person who's released by the union and a person who at the time of their pick is out off the payroll for less than 30 days and their job is redlined. If you pick a red line job and that person resumes, they're now allowing you to keep that person's RDOs, their
And
tour, and district. So
mhm.
you are extra, but you're extra with set days off, set tour, and set district, as opposed to just what you were being before extra extra.
That's
For
something
some
you're
people,
supposed to do. Hmm.
right. For some people, that especially people with no seniority, that's a wonderful thing. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing because
Mhm.
now you can go into a pick saying, I have a pick job, and you have to take what that person picked.
Yeah.
So you have to take whatever their RDOs, their tours, you don't get to change that. You pick their job, whatever they picked. You
Mhm.
don't get to put any input into what their job does. You just
Yeah.
take it. You say, "Oh, it's a job 1 to 6. It's 3 trips, but it's from 6 to 2 and they got Sunday, Saturday off. I want that." Okay. Now, if that person comes back, they're going to work their job, but you stay AMs, you stay with weekends off and you stay on the east side, I should say. You're not going to stay on the 6. You're going to stay on the east side. So that means you have the choice of the 3, 4, 6. I believe the shuttle is now in the west, right? I don't think the Grand Central shuttle is on the east side anymore, right?
I think it is
Is it
still on
still on the east
the
side?
east side. I believe it's still on the east side.
Okay. So those are the lines that you're now open to working if that person resumes from red line, which some people feel is a major win as far as our pick rights were concerned. I look a little further down the line of things. That's my personal opinion. Moving on. So that's red line. Now we're going to move on to extra list. Extra list on the pick board. You pick by district and you have certain RDOs. So I believe there's a few Sunday, Saturday slots open. Then you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then you have, respectively Tuesday, Wednesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, Tuesday. I think I missed Monday, Tuesday just now. If you pick those, if you pick extra lists with the RDOs, you're picking to be extra for your 5 days. And
Mhm.
then you know that your RDOs and your tour is not going to change because you can do it for AM, you do it for PMs, you do it for midnight. Now, obviously, I think there's probably only one or two Sunday, Saturday slots on the midnights, if that many. Um, and then you have one of each because midnights really they don't have that many, but you're gonna have much more on the AMs and certainly much more on the PMs. So if you're looking at Sunday, Saturday RDOs, but the straight jobs are going and there's nothing you're willing to work, you might want to consider going extra list because at least you don't know what time and where you're going to start every day, but at least you know you have the weekends off. If those are the days that you need, right? And if you know what tour you want to work, again, you may not know what day you're going to, like if you go AMs, there's going to be 4 a.m. starts, 5 a.m., there's going to be 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. starts. Those are going to suck. And those are usually going to be your Thursday and Friday jobs.
Yeah.
As far like your
Mhm.
fourth day and fifth day jobs, those are going to suck. If there's any GO jobs that start that late, yeah,
Mhm.
unfortunate, yeah, that's going to be you. But if you know you need 2 days off or you want to have your weekends free, that's one of your best bets. Okay, then we have Opto. Opto is one person train operation. In the A division, you only have Opto on the Grand Central Shuttle,
And
which
the
isn't
5.
even really true Opto because you have two train operators, but that's beside the point.
And the 5.
True Opto is going to be on the 5-line Dyer Shuttle, which is going
Mhm.
to be from East 180th to Dyer Avenue on the midnights only. On the AMs and the PMs, it's a full crew. You can't pick Opto on those days. It's only midnights, all 7 days. So you can pick Opto on the 5, Saturday and Sunday. Those are workhorse jobs. I did it, but there's only I think 3 on Sunday, and it might be 4 on Saturday midnights. So it's
Yeah.
not a lot of jobs, and the few the 6 or 7 they have on the AM on the midnights during the week. It's not a
Yeah.
lot of jobs, but if you have the seniority to pick it, you can pick it.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
and then also, sticking with Opto, in the A division, they little hidden gem that most people don't know about, but for the most part, people do. You have Opto Extra, which works the same way as regular Extra, except that you are Opto qualified and you will be picking up. You are the first on the list to pick up jobs that come up for Opto operation and you get to pick your tour AM, PM, or midnight. And then you also have Opto VR, which is relieving Opto operators when they go on vacation. So you're Opto qualified, and you will be, if someone goes on vacation that works the Grand Central Shuttle during the AMs, guess what? You can pick AM job on the shuttle. But because it's such a small amount of people who are doing the Grand Central Shuttle, when you pick Opto VR, one of the pitfalls of that is that for the most part, you will literally be extra. Like you are going to be an
they can
extra
send you
person,
anywhere.
and they
Yeah.
can send you anywhere. So that is something that you should, be be mindful of, but I do have to say that the most amount of money that I've ever made in my career was doing Opto VR. And it Opto VR and Opto Extralist Midnights really whew, that was some good money that I made.
'Cause you
So
are open to everything.
yeah, yeah. So, you literally are open to everything and there's little nuances to everything that you pick down here, but I also say again, if you're thinking about picking a job, a certain type of job down here, such as opto, talk to some opto people and figure out the ins and outs. They'll let you know how to get goes.
And I
Um
noticed I wanted to be opto qualified in the B. I'm opto qualified in the A, not in the B. But
mhm,
there's not a lot of the opto I wanted to work was the Mary
mhm,
out of Metropolitan because it's a very short run. But the problem becomes me one getting to Metropolitan and two that the way their jobs were set up, I still would have to do like a round trip, and I just want to do my opto all day. Like leave me alone. But that comes with looking at what the job does. There's the Franklin shuttle in the B division that runs opto all day. That might be a lot for certain people because it's a lot of trips and it's just you as opposed to the Grand Central shuttle, which is also a substantial amount of trips, but it's two people ping-ponging back and forth. And you do get to switch positions throughout the day. So I also know that the A line, the Far Rock shuttle, that shuttle, that's also opto. Again, if you live on that side of the world, might be a wonderful thing, but the hours suck. The
mhm.
hours absolutely suck out there. So that's my personal opinion as far as the hours sucking. Now we're gonna talk about work trains. I mentioned earlier that you can pick. This is technically sub C, so it's not work trains for conductors. I believe y'all call it construction flagging. Same thing. We're all sub C. Those pick somewhat independently than the rest of the A and the B division, although the A division has a different numbering system for work trains than the B division, and it doesn't always cross over. So there are jobs in the B division in sub C that are not available in the A division. And that once again, you have to talk to somebody who is familiar with sub C to get better acquainted at what those are. But they don't always pay on paper, but they allow you flexibility with a lot of things. So always keep your mind open with that. Also, work trains does not have a lot of Sunday Saturdays. That is relegated for 25, 26, 30-year people, right? So if you're gonna pick sub C or you're gonna look at sub C, be very prepared to give up your weekends.
I mean,
And
and
when
it
you give
makes
up
sense.
your
It makes
weekends
sense.
are at least 12 to 14 hours on a good day. So
Yeah,
if you're on a paper chase, sub C is where you want to be, baby, but people
yeah.
are not going to see you.
Work trains, I mean, it kinda makes sense anyways, like, if you're picking work trains, when do they do the most GOs and most of their work? On the weekends.
Weekends and
So if you
overnight.
picking
So if
yeah,
you pick
and
AM work
overnight,
trains,
yes.
it's not
So yeah,
you're also going to have more 8-hour days AMs than
yes,
you will
exactly,
PMs.
exactly.
Not
The
always.
morning GOs
It's
are
not always, but
mhm, and if you're not a
because I'm a
person
work
that don't
train
like,
operator now on wait, T.
mhm,
I'm a work train operator on in the B now. And my job scheduled is 8 hours. But there's a lot of different work around the system that you can do um that it won't be. It's just that it's not guaranteed the way it is on the PMs. My classmates on the PM, they're making money. So,
ooh,
but I like to be home. So,
listen, I don't
you
blame
know,
you.
if you don't mind being on the property for 14 hours every time you come to work, you don't know what time you leaving. Hey, sub C is where you want to be, baby. But I will say, just this is a caveat, even with flagging, especially actually with flagging, because the flaggers for conductors, you guys are actually you travel all over the system, everywhere.
Mm,
And you're where the contractors are, where the work is, and you got to move with them. it's a lot of wear and tear on your body. It's a lot more walking than you immediately thought, a lot more walking than what you see riding past on a train. You have to carry your lamps and trips. If you're working in the yard, that is an extreme amount of walking in whatever circumstances the weather is, rain, sleet, snow, doesn't matter. So that money, subsea money, comes with a lot of extremes. So while I love subsea and I can't see myself leaving subsea, it is the reality that I have to face, that when like right now in the dog of summer, it sucks. And I can imagine in the dog of winter, it fucking sucks. If
Yeah.
that's not what you're willing to do, A. But if money's important, subsea. Go
Yeah, and
ahead, T.
that's what I was also gonna say. The little nuances of the jobs that you're picking. So even if you wanna go sub-C, right? And you pick AMs, most of the time you're gonna be on a structure, right? You're gonna be on a structure, and if
Or
you aren't
underground.
uh, for the most part, most of the people who I've spoken to about, for whatever reason, people are always like, "Come on down to work trains," and I'm like, "No, it's not going to happen." Um, I don't like the structure. I absolutely despise being on a structure, and I wouldn't. Was trying to tell me, "Well, you could do work trains in the AMs if you don't want to, be PMs,"
True.
and I'm like, "Baby, that all of that is up top. That's all on the structure. For the most part, it's on the structure."
Well, actually,
And
AM subsea is yards. You're doing a lot of drilling. You're doing a lot of building trains, taking trains apart.
yeah,
If you're
and
not with that,
and
that's
that's another thing.
yeah.
I ain't about the goddamn builder. I don't like the yard. So I know for the most part, yeah, it's light work, but then you have to think about the little things that might ruin it for you. And for me, I'm with it. I'm not with being in the yard. I'm not with walking the structure if I don't have to do it. And if that's something part of the daily ins and outs of the job, yeah, baby, it ain't for me. So think about those things when you're picking.
Yeah. And then
What are we
finally,
on to? Yeah.
um, audio relief, which is more so
Ooh,
for the people that we be recording this for.
oh
You
wait,
guys are the ones that are really gonna have to deal with audio relief, because just like the title says, you're gonna work. Audio relief really is a person picked a daily job, but they
wait, hold
can't
on,
pick that.
Chris.
Mm,
Real quick. I think we jumped over vacation.
we said VR.
But I
Opto,
don't
didn't
think
you
that
talk
we
about
talked
Opto
about
VR?
we said VR, but I don't think that we talked about VR. VR is for people who love to look at the sheets all the time and do homework. Because I've never done VR, but I'll let you talk about VR real quick. About what goes into being VR.
So VR to me is the beautiful medium between being extra, and being having a pick job. Because VR, you pick a person's job for a week while they're on vacation. Whatever they're working is what you get to is your job for that week. So you keep a partner for 5 days, you keep a location, you keep a start time for a week at a time. And there's flexibility because you have to bid on your jobs week to week. I believe the VR bids now are done 3 weeks at a time. I know that sometimes they were done 4 weeks at a time, but I think for the most part they're 3 weeks at a time. So you pick 3 week chunks of what you work. Now, if you was really sick with it, you could get yourself a 5 days off, little mini vacation, like you could do you have a lot of flexibility with VR. I use VR to challenge my tours, to challenge my lines. That's how I found out I loved midnights. Because I worked VR jobs on midnights, and I realized that the work that you do on the midnights is much different than the work you do on, say, the PMs or the AMs. And that's how I was able to move about the system that I wouldn't have been able to do if I just picked the job for 6 months at a time. So if you are a person, you like extra, because some people don't like doing the same job for a stretch, right? They don't like
Mhm.
6 months being in the same place.
Or the same people.
VR is a good medium, right? If you care about RDOs, like if you care about taking time off, but you don't want to always have to be on vacation to do it. Like if you want to run down someplace for 3, 4 days, VR was your best bet because you string together a job that had Sunday, Monday 1 week. Then the following week, you string together a job that had Friday, Saturday off. Now you had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off. And then if you wanted to put a AVA or OTO at the beginning or the end of that, baby, there's a ready-made vacation. Now you might have to sacrifice the line in the tour, but if RDOs is what you wanted and that's how you wanted to freak it, hey, go for it. I always tell people if you're going to do VR to find out what is the best tour for you. I never would have picked midnights had I not done VR. Some people think AMs is the shit, but then they realize PMs might be better because of a job they could pick on the PMs or midnights or vice versa. There's a lot of, and you see what different lines do on different tours. Not every local runs the same. Not every express runs the same. GOs, how GOs affect certain lines on certain tours. You can find all of that out working VR. And if you get on a line, you hate it, you never got to pick that line again. You already know.
Mhm. And
VR
if
is a
you
lot of
love it, you
gambling.
might be able to pick it for your next pick, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's a great way to find out what you like and what you don't like.
right. And you're not stuck with anything for longer than a week. And hey, if if you get 2, 3 days into it, you really don't like it, book off, and then the next week you're someplace else completely new.
You about
But
to
it also gave you
have these
because you
people,
knew
bro.
3 weeks in advance, you would know 3 weeks ahead where you were going, what you were working, what tour you were on. You had
Mhm.
better ways to plan, right? So if you can only get an AM job 1 week, but you can only get a PM job the next week, you already know, okay, I got to throw a day in between that. Like I got to throw a OTO day. I got to adjust because going from a super early AM to a super late PM, that's going to it's a shock to your system and it takes about a week for you to get acclimated. So by the time that week is over, you're not going to work that job anymore. So you can read your body better, you can regulate your body better as opposed to when you're extra, when you call that Friday afternoon, you were working AMs this whole week. Now they talk about you midnights. Or they talk about and you were expecting to have Sunday, Saturday off and now you Tuesday, Wednesday. So now your Sunday, Saturday going into Sunday, that you got to be at work. You wasn't planning to be at work. Oh, you got to make that adjustment. It's a lot less stark on VR. It's more manageable. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's go to RDO. I'm glad that we did talk about that with vacation relief. Also, with vacation relief, it is also like a rank system. So the higher seniority, the higher it's basically like
The
yeah, it's saying
smaller
like
your
it's
number,
yeah.
the smaller your VR number, the better jobs you have access to.
Yes, exactly. So if there's 100 jobs, and obviously the person who is VR1, they get their pick of the litter and it goes
Right.
down the line. So it's basically just like how the pick works basically. So just be mindful of that too. So yeah, so
Yes.
RDO relief, RDO relief, RDO relief.
So RDO relief is a person picked a daily job, but they can't work the same job 5 days straight. They can't work it Monday through Friday. So they had to pick their RDOs within that week Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They had to pick either Monday, Tuesday, and going on and so forth. So that means that on their RDOs, that job is open. It's your job for that day because they picked that day for an RDO. So if there is a one tripper on the 5, but that person that picked it straight, but they picked their RDOs Monday, Tuesday. That one tripper is now open Monday and Tuesday for somebody else to pick. And hence RDO relief. RDO relief takes the homework, takes the time because you can work theoretically you could work 5 different lines if you're in the South. Um in 1 week, right? and you can work the same line, but you may start at different terminals.
Mhm.
You're probably going to have 5 different start times. You can try to the best of your ability to keep them as close as possible, but you're going to have to keep track of what you pick. If you cannot, you can pick RDO relief when you cannot pick a straight job Monday through Friday, right? If you can pick a straight job on the daily, but you can't get the weekends off, that's not an RDO relief job. You pick RDO relief when you cannot pick a straight daily job. If you can't pick a straight daily job, then you have to do the RDO relief. RDO relief is piecing together jobs within your district or your location. So if you're west side RDO relief, you cannot pick a job on the east side. Same goes for the B division. If you're RDO relief in the south, you can't jump to the north or Queens. So when you're looking at that, you have to consider that. Do you want to piece something together? If you live in Queens, do you want to piece something together in Queens? Or do you want to say go to the Echo? Excuse me, not the Echo. Um, the Alpha, or the Charlie, and get a straight job during the week with probably weekday RDOs over there. Do you want to do that? It's theoretically, yes, you could have an RDO relief job where you get a piece of the weekend, but those are not very common. Um, because I don't think they give one slot. I don't even think they give that many RDO relief jobs on the weekends. I don't actually think I've ever heard of that.
You know what? I was speaking to one of the women who does the pick, and she was explaining it to me in a way that I have never heard anyone explain RDO relief, and it kind of opened my eyes to a couple of things. But I will be
Mhm.
sitting here lying to you if I did not say that that went in one ear and out the goddamn other. I was very, uh, I was
Keep it a
really
bug. Uh-huh.
into what she was saying. I was like, "Oh my god, this is so enlightening." And soon as I walked out of there, it all disappeared. So
Yeah.
I say
Listen,
that
I
to
know.
say, talk to the people at the pit.
Yeah, I never
You
picked
know?
RDO relief. It
Yeah,
never made sense to me. I was just like on when I remember maybe it was the second pick we were able to pick. They would talk about RDO relief,
yeah,
and I looked at it and it was just Greek to me. And then I was like, why can't I just
yeah.
be extra? Because then you see the jobs, there's certain jobs that are available and they'll tell you those jobs. And I'm like, I don't want to work any of those jobs. Those jobs
I'm
sound
gonna
like
tell
trash.
you what audio relief will how you can finesse it and work it in a way that will work for you. But I will also say these are my pros and cons to audio relief. So pro for audio relief is right. You probably will be having some trash audio days for yourself. You are probably
Yeah.
working Monday,
Yeah.
Tuesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you are lucky, you might be able to find a new little cute Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday. Thursday,
Mhm.
Friday probably is gonna be supreme as an
Right.
RDO relief person. Now, I say all of this to say we know how the crew office works when you're extra or extra extra, right? They love to give you the worst job, the shittiest hour, um, when you are right at your RDO, right? So they're gonna give you a
Mhm.
super late job on your Friday and a super early ass job on your Monday. And you just be like, really, that just cut off my RDOs and makes it so horrible. Like I'll get half of my RDO on whatever day and a horrible day on my, whatever your
Mhm.
Saturday, technically your Saturday is, right? It's cut short because you probably not getting home until a midnight hour, something like that, because they done messed you up. You working a PM tour, something like that, right? So with the RDO relief, you actually get to pick, okay, let's just say you a PM person and you're working RDO relief PMs. So
Mhm.
for your RDO relief on your Friday, you can look for a job that start at 12, right? Like, okay, let me look at this job that's start at 12, I get out at 8. If you still out there and you want to be outside, right? That's perfect. You get off of work at 8 o'clock, You can probably pick somewhere that's closer to home for you, right? So you might be able to pick something that, your finishing terminal is close to home. You get to run home, take your shower, get cute, change your outfit, and be outside with your friends and have your
We
whole party.
outside.
Yeah,
We
be outside
outside.
with your friends for your whole RDO. You get to enjoy your RDOs better. And then on your returning day, on your Monday, you could pick a late ass PM job, something that start at
Mhm.
maybe a 4 or 5, and you get to enjoy, and you come into work at the time that you want to come in on a Monday. Who wouldn't love to have a late start on a Monday, on your Monday? You know what I
Right.
mean? So that's a plus to RDO relief. But a con to RDO relief is basically piggybacking on what Chris said earlier. It's that you may be having a different start location for every day of the week. You might have
Mhm.
a different starting time for every day of the week. So you better be on your goddamn P's and Q's. If you think you already jumping up out of your sleep, thinking that you overslept or whatever the case. Listen, I got a straight job. I done had a straight job for the last 8, 9 years. Had a straight job on whatever, and don't jump around. And I still will jump up out my damn sleep,
Mhm.
like, oh my God, I think I'm supposed to be at work. RDO relief will have you really going through it. So,
Yeah.
and you better
Yeah.
make sure that you know what day it is. You better have your alarm set, baby.
I've been
Making
at the
sure that
terminal
you got
more
your
than
break
once.
handle. Like, listen, if you on a Monday, you on a deuce. On a Tuesday, you on a 6.
Mhm.
On a Wednesday, you back on a 5. On a Thursday, you back up at Pelham. Like, make sure you have all your equipment. Make sure you
Yeah.
got you a little route, a little cheat sheet for your route. Make sure
Mhm.
you got your cheat sheet for punch points. Make sure you got your cheat sheet for when the road blow up and they want to turn you somewhere, know where you're able to be turned at and how you're turning. If you're going in a relay position and then turning south, walking to the south end or whatever, or the north end, make sure you know all of these things. Audio relief will keep you on your toes. Be on your P's and Q's when picking audio relief because it is not for the faint of heart.
It's
Okay?
sure
Do
not.
not be on a Monday or a damn near on a Tuesday showing up for your Wednesday job.
And it's happened.
Yes,
It
and
has
it
happened.
happens. And this is one of the cons of RDO relief. So you better have everything down pat. Okay? When I tell you that type of job is not for the absent minded. Okay? You better make sure that you know what you're doing
Set your
because don't show
alarms.
up
Mhm.
at
For every
Linux.
day.
Okay, exactly. Don't show up at Linux at 3 o'clock and you're supposed to be over at Flatbush at 12:15. Because
Right.
by the time you walk in, you be all happy. You be thinking, oh, you got your lunch. You like, oh, I'm early today. And you walk in and you like looking at the payroll like, why is my name not here? Baby, you
Mm.
able.
Mhm.
Okay?
That's
You
a horrible
able.
feeling too, by the
Or
way.
you in the bed. You still in the bed and they calling you.
Crew
Like,
office
excuse
calling you,
me.
your heart's in your asshole.
Yeah,
Mhm.
excuse me, Miss Smith. Where are you? And you looking around like, I'm at home. Baby, you don't miss your first trip.
Mhm.
Okay,
'Cause you
so
thought it was Thursday and it's really Wednesday.
baby. So
Baby.
be mindful. And listen, I'ma just keep it a buck. When
Lord,
you
here she
new,
go.
please don't even try to think about RDO relief on the midnights. Cause midnight is a whole different creature. Especially picking your RDOs and stuff like that. Cause your Sundays, you thinking, oh, I got Sunday, Saturday on the midnight, baby. That is really Friday, Saturday. Sunday, Monday is really Sunday, Saturday RDOs.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you gotta really be careful and mindful because baby, you will get your days confused real quick. So I
And it
wouldn't
will
even
turn you every way
suggest.
but loose.
Yes, I wouldn't even suggest you picking RDO relief midnights until you at least a good 3 years into the job, and you know your business. You
Listen,
done
I
got it
never
down.
did it. Every time I got to the picker, they were like, "You could do RDO relief." I said, "What's extra looking like?" I went everywhere else.
Yeah.
I was not giving RDO relief the time of day because it
Mhm.
never made any sense to me that I couldn't just be extra those days.
Yes.
And especially the days because they at the end of the pick, if when you go to pick for RDO relief, there's nothing for you to pick. Like, let's just say you had to take
Mhm.
Tuesday, Wednesday RDOs, and nobody else before you took Tuesday, Wednesday off as RDOs. So there's theoretically nothing for you to pick on a Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
They assign it to you at the end
Yes.
of the pick. So
Yes.
you don't
Mhm.
actually know what job you're working until the
Mhm.
pick is closed. Nah, I don't gamble like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't I
I
wouldn't
don't
suggest
gamble
it.
like that.
When you if you're gonna do RDO relief, what I would tell you is, maybe the day before you pick, go sit down and talk, or maybe on one of your days off, go to a pick location, and when the people who are running the pick, when they got downtime, and sometimes they be having, little 30 minutes of downtime, because maybe somebody picking, maybe the next couple of people is picking at Utica or Pelham or wherever, and you at 241st, right? So they
Right.
might have a little downtime. Go in there and talk to them and
Yeah.
ask them questions. Pick their brain. Don't ask them about, don't be in there a whole week ahead of when you're supposed to pick, but a day or two ahead of time. They will be more than happy to help you because they understand. And when you have that pick selection sheet and you pick an RDO relief, baby, fill it up.
Fill it
Fill it
all the way
up.
up.
Go
Fill it
from
all the
1
way up.
to 20. Fill
Yep.
everything and anything out, okay? And when we say RDO relief, like Chris said, if you pick an AM RDO relief, please don't think that you could pick Monday a AM job, Tuesday a PM job, Wednesday a midnight job. That's not how that works.
Nope.
Stay across the board on AM. So maybe if you're picking RDO relief, and your first preference is that you want to do AM tour, then go ahead and fill up your first 5 or 6 slots with all AM choices. And then
Mhm.
from 7 to 12 or 7 to 14, go ahead and fill those up with your second preference, which might be, PMs, and fill up all of that with everything that you could think of that you would want to work, or everything that's open, that's something that works for you. And honestly, when you are that far back where your options are few and far between and you're picking RDO relief, um it might not even work for you. Whatever you're picking might be, it really is, picking out of the trash. You're dumpster diving
Yeah.
at this point. So you just have to make
You
do
have
with
to
what
pick
you
what you
have.
can work with.
Yes, yes.
The benefit to RDO relief is that at least it's steady,
Yeah, at
right?
least you know what your RDOs are.
You know
You
what your
know what your
RDOs
tour
are.
is.
You know what your tour is. You know what
Mhm.
lines you're working. You just have to be diligent in keeping your starting times and locations um on point. Uh the only caveat I would say, just working with anything actually. This isn't just specifically to RDO relief, but just on anything. Don't necessarily cross anything out. Leave your mind kind of open if you don't have um the time, right? So the more seniority you have, the better theoretically you can pick. But for the people who have 3 years and less, right? You guys, a lot of y'all are still extra extra. Um, I can't imagine that because when T and I came out, we were extra extra for one pick, and then we were able to pick. Now, was that pick great? Absolutely not. It was trash. But we don't have an extended career in extra extra, and to me, extra extra is as worse as it gets down here,
Yeah,
right?
and I
Because
and I missed out on my extra extra because I was at home on maternity leave.
right.
So
So extra extra was not that bad for me. I was either Sunday, Saturday, or Friday, Saturday for that pick that we were extra
yeah.
extra. I didn't have a bad time. But hearing people behind me being
Mhm.
what extra extra is doing, being at the mercy of the crew office, like for some people, I couldn't have been extra extra in the B. I'm gonna say that right now because I've sat at Bedford Park and listened to people come from the far reaches of Long Island, the Brooklyn, knowing that their same classmate who came from up top by me, Lower Westchester, Upper Westchester, is down in Stillwell. Makes no sense. It makes no sense. There's no rhyme and reason.
Never
If
was.
the difference is being extra, being subjected to them and picking, let's just say a job where you got to start out in Queens or a job you got to start at a time you don't want to, right? Don't count certain things out because if that little bit of continuity will allow you to get through this pick to the next pick, do it.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna tell somebody not to do it. Do it. Right? Because being extra, extra takes a certain kind of fortitude that transit is gonna test out of you every single day. Right?
Mhm.
And there's very little grace given in extra, extra, or to a certain extent, extra list until they
Yeah.
know you, until they they see that you're not having problems, you're showing up to work and this, that, and the third, then fine. But right now, we are inundated with a lot of new train operators, conductors who fall under this extra, extra category. They're cutting the actual jobs in the work program. They're condensing jobs or they're
Mhm.
making jobs longer and removing certain jobs from the work program, which changes the dynamics of extra, extra.
Mhm.
And these things, if you're new here, you're not really going to give this a lot of thought. For somebody like me who's been here 10, 11 years and have seen the progression of the work program and have seen the changes and things that they want to implement, um, I look at it a little bit differently. I
Yeah.
will always say also what we're going to talk about next, which is the bid sheets, right?
Oh,
And this is
girl,
going into the bid sheets.
we are almost at a 2-hour mark.
Yeah, well,
Lord Jesus.
this is a topic that is unfortunately wasn't a quick topic. Like we had it to get into this. And I hope that at the end of whoever listens to this, you all understand and you can go at picking with a lot less anxiety, um, a lot more what's the word I'm looking
What a clear
for?
head with some clarity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like don't look at it as something like, "Oh my god, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to throw something at the wall and hope it sticks." Like please
Yeah.
take what we're saying, consider it. If you don't if it doesn't apply, let it fly. Um But picking is not something that you have to be a magician to do. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
rocket scientist, yeah.
yeah,
I'm
no.
the MTA lingo and, just the way that Lord Jesus, the word. But the just the environment, the way that it works, the way that this machine runs can be like so strange and just otherworldly when you are not acclimated to the MTA. But once a couple of picks pass, you get it. So this is for the people who are, 1 to 2, maybe 3 to 4 picks in and still find themselves trying to figure it out, trying to
Yeah.
get it under wraps. This is for you. So
Yes.
but the bid sheets, I want to say the bid sheets are pretty straightforward. Um and most of the time, you know what? I want to say I knew how to do the bid sheet way before I knew what I was doing with picking.
Mhm.
That right there is the most straightforward way to get a job ever. You see a job out there, if it's a temporary vacancy, that mean that there is a roll of a dice. That person may come back mid pick and you are out of a job. You are now extra list. You do still get to keep your RDOs like we said with the red line. You
Mhm.
still get to keep your RDOs, you still get to keep your tour. For the most part, you get
And
to
your
keep
district.
staying in district, but you are still, the crew office don't get their name called the screw office for nothing.
All
Sometimes
right.
all of that go right out the window if they need you.
Right.
So just let that be known. But for the most part, the bid sheet is very, very, very much, you know, at face value, it is what it
And it
is.
might save you if you have an RDO relief job.
Yeah,
That
I say
might be
if you
your
don't have
saving
seniority,
grace.
yeah, if you don't have seniority, go ahead and get that. Go ahead and just
Yeah.
put any and everything on it. When I see people saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna put nothing down because I don't know what I'm gonna get," baby, I feel like I'm not gonna get anything. Go fill that out.
You'd
You
be
extra
so
extra, you
surprised.
extra list. You got one of the worst jobs in the damn system. Go ahead and put that down. Cause guess what? There's probably a million other people down here that's thinking the same way that you thinking, and they not
Mhm.
filling it out. And that job, nobody gets. So you be the person that number it found number is 19,200
Goddamn.
and 259. Okay, you be the person that get that job that everybody thought, oh, it's no way that I'm gonna get it. You get that job and you work it
Girl,
and be
I got
happy.
a job. I got a 3 trip out of Parchester, paid 10 hours when we had like maybe what 3 years. But I found out quickly why that job was on the bid sheet because of the conductor, God rest his soul. That
Oh Lord,
conductor, he was something else. Like the person who originally picked it, he said, I'm out of here.
listen,
I was
yeah,
out of here. And I saw that job and I said, oh, I'm going to bid on it. I did not think I was going to get it. So imagine my surprise when I got it, and imagine my even more surprise when I'm working it and everybody was like, yeah, you're going to realize why that job went unpicked, why you got it. And I was like, oh shit. And I found out, I mean, I made it because honestly, with my time, there was nothing more for me to expect. You understand? And
yeah,
like with everything else, I knew this pick was going to come to an end. So if all I had to deal with was a very a very volatile conductor, I'll take it because it was better than being extra list at the time, which is what I was, and I had weekends off. So it
yeah,
was what was important to me. I had to suck everything else up and I did it happily.
yeah,
But you know, some people, the bid sheets, yeah, the bid sheets are a saving grace for some, and that one pick where I picked that one job where I looked at only the Sunday job and not the West, it was a penance. I paid for sins the rest of that pick. I did. But then
yeah,
I also learned that I could get through anything. Could deal with anything. I was never so miserable, but I said, you know what? Even God said this too shall pass. It passed. And, you know, it's funny because I ended up picking back over on the one after that, but I picked on the midnights because I realized the midnight jobs, that job started so early on the AMs. I was able to see what the midnight work work force or the what the pace of the work was on the midnights, and I said midnights suits me much better on the one line than it did on the AMs. So I take everything with a grain of salt and a learning lesson. But all right, guys, you know what? We are damn near 2 hours. And if you've made it this far, you're a real one. Thank you.
your ends
Um,
are bleeding. No,
yeah, you know, but I really hope that you guys understood that, you know, we want you all to pick, you know, pick your best, pick what is going to work for you, you know, take from this what you can, leave what you don't. What they say, take the meat, leave the bones.
yeah,
Um it's going to be different for everybody, but we recorded this out of the spirit of we just wanted to help you all. We want you all to do the best that you can. We hate to see people
mhm.
out here miserable and, you know,
Yeah,
just
and
getting
don't get
bad advice.
discouraged. Yes, don't get discouraged, and
Please don't.
don't listen. Listen, we have been through it. Listen, what are we picking? We picking what like the second week of the pick, and it took some time to get
It
here,
gets better.
and
It
we
does.
it really does. Everything that I used to roll my eyes and suck my teeth at when I would hear people say, "Oh, it gets better, it goes by fast," and then the people that love to come in and say they're still picking, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
that
Ignore
BS.
them, please.
We've all been through it. Just look at it as hazing, and one day you will be that person that walks in on the first week of the pick and say, "Are they still picking?" So just don't let it bother you, and always know that there are so many options down here for you to pick from. Don't get stuck on picking a straight job. Don't get
Yeah.
don't
Be open.
and you will find that there are some people down here who have 17, 18 years on the job, and they strictly pick things that people would say, "I would never in my life pick that,"
Mhm.
but it works for them. So don't ever count yourself out, and don't ever let somebody tell you that what you picked is a shitty job, because it might just be golden for you. Like they
Amen.
say, one man's trash can be somebody else's treasure. So with that being said, we love you. Um
Thank you.
and we
And
want
we
you to prosper. So don't get too
yes.
down on yourself when you looking at that pick board.
Please share this with people, share this with your family, like, comment, let us know, you know, what we have going forward, but we will catch you guys on the next episode.
Yes,
Bye.
bye.